Good evening, Fernwood. It's your TV watching pal Neil, and it's time for us to TV watch together a whole new episode of Mary Hartman. Mary Hartman, and when I say a whole new episode, I mean from May 24th, 1976. That's how new I'm talking about. We have a lot of information from last week to get through, so let's do that recap. Starting at the Haggers, Loretta and Charlie seem to be at a bit of a difference of opinion. Loretta really wants to move towards Christly behaviors and working for the church, while Charlie is eager for Loretta to get on the career path that she had before she had her whole coming to God. Merle Cheater, the leader of the church that Loretta has become involved in, has given his okay for Loretta to record Vitamin L, but that's especially since Loretta has promised to give any funds from that song to the church. Charlie is skeptical, and so am I. George has been pitted against Tom at the factory. That's causing a bit of tension between them. George is a bit more of a status quo kind of person. He is definitely okay with the union appropriating funds that should have been paid to the workers. He calls it greasing the wheel, so we see where he stands. Tom has gotten in work trouble, so that is going to lead to some issues going on in their household. Martha has been preparing for Kathy's upcoming wedding, and that is going to go through some troubles because Kathy discovered, along with Tom, that Mary had a potential or a planned sexual outing with Dennis Foley. Before we get to that story, I'll go to the next household, which is the McCulloughs. And the important thing to understand there is that we discover that Howard and Ed McCullough are not brothers the way that the entire town believes is the case, but it appears that they are lovers, and that Howard's mother, Betty, is really staying to kind of cover the relationship that they have. They're living together in a loving relationship, and this is way before gay marriage was on the plate. It was not a consideration in the 1970s. So they're basically gay lovers with a mother as a beard. So they have a conflict. Howard would like to keep their secret. Ed is very much pressing to come out of the closet, and that hopefully we'll see a bit more about that because I'm very interested in what happens there. Meanwhile, let's get back to the title character of the show, Mary Hartman. She has been through the ringer. She did have a whole stressful situation where Dennis had a heart attack and he has been put in the hospital. That was after Mary admitted that she had feelings for him. She has been, of course, discovered in that state of undress, or the situation that we talked about just previously. And Tom and Kathy do seem to have some issues with her. Tom, for his part, he has left home and he is staying with the McCulloughs. Kathy, for her part, has forgiven Mary and is planning to become a nun. And Mary, well, she went to visit Dennis, and that led to them propping a chair against the door, making out real hard, turning out the lights, and we don't know what has happened since then. So that is what I've got before we start this episode. I think it is now time to start the episode. So let's start the episode.
I never should have done this. I never should have done this. I did a terrible thing. I'm like a woman possessed.
Mary,
Dennis, look, please don't do this to me, Dennis. Please don't, because you know what you made me do? You made me give you an answer of some kind. I mean, like I'm supposed to answer to you. I can't answer to you. I can't answer to you about what I did. I mean, you are a very sick man. You just had a heart attack. You're a very sick man. All I did was, I don't know what happened. I came by, I brought you a couple of flowers. I just wanted to wish you a speedy recovery, and I just came to say goodbye. Because, I mean, even though Tom has left me, he is going to be back. I mean, Tom's going to be back because Heather needs him. She's a very happy child, and I just don't know what I do. I'm sorry.
Mary, you're a very loving, sensitive, beautiful woman.
I'm not.
And you've given me the most precious thing one could bestow.
In the hospital bed? In the hospital? Was it good for you?
It was a beautiful moment.
Really? How can you say that? How good? I mean, like on a scale from 1 to 10.
What happened? What finally happened? It was beautiful. You've got to admit that, Mary. Yes.
I did.
And you felt it too.
I did. I did feel it. You know, it was hard for me. Like that moment, I kept being so scared that the chair was going to fall out from under the door, and like someone was going to walk in. And I was just so worried about it. And then we leaned on the button, and the feet went up on the bed. I just got, you know.
We laughed.
Yeah, we did laugh, didn't we? It was funny, though. I mean, it was funny. I mean, our heads were way back, and my knee was in my mouth. Oh, that is such a terrible thing.
We mustn't feel guilty.
Oh, sure. Well, that's very easy for you to say, because you don't have a husband that you have to answer to. I mean, the last time I was in trouble with him, and I had to give him an answer, you know what he did? He left me. And all I had to do then was tell him that I was in your apartment and you had a heart attack. I mean, can you imagine what the man would go through if he were here?
Doesn't have to know.
What about little sister Kathy? My little sister is so in love with you that she's going to run off and become a nun.
She'll get over me.
Okay, what about my parents? What about my parents? They are never going to look at me again.
They will look at you again. Mary, this was something that had to happen. This was something that you and I had to experience.
We did not have
We
to do
did
this.
have to experience it. It was something we promised each other. Something that we would cherish and remember for the rest of our lives. And it was beautiful, Mary. And I want to hear you say it. I want to hear you say it.
All right. It was beautiful, okay? I don't understand, you know, I just have this terrible feeling inside of me. It's like in my chest. There's like this empty feeling. It's like there's something moving, but it's like this empty space in there, you know?
Like butterflies in the pit of your stomach.
They're like eagles. They're like very, very large eagles. Oh my God, I better go to the John. Oh no, I can't go to the John because that's the first place to look. I know, I'm just going to sit right here.
Now, don't worry. There's nothing to worry about.
What's going on there?
Just go to the door and take the chair away.
No.
Go ahead, Mary. Nobody's going to know anything. Really. No one is going to know anything.
No one is
No
going
one
to
is going to
know
know anything.
No
No one.
know anything. Nobody is going to know anything. Nobody's going to know anything.
Mrs. Hartman.
It was so drafty in here. It was so drafty that what I did was I put the chair against the door. You see, I think you've got something a little wrong with your catch here. So what I did was I put the chair against the door. It was so drafty that I just didn't think it was a good idea for him to get a cold on top of his heart.
We were having a little taste.
Yeah, it was quite some tete-a-tete, Sergeant.
I beg your pardon?
Well, apparently you don't seem to realize you had a heart attack 4 days ago.
A mild infarction.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll play the doctor, okay?
I didn't want you to worry, Dr. Fernwood.
Look, I don't want to be called away from dinner just because you've had another attack. Now, there's certain rules you're going to have to follow during this convalescent period, Sergeant Foley. And the sort of tete-a-tete you and Mrs. Hartman just had is out. Now, is that understood? Mm-hmm.
Understood.
What? Hmm? Gonna go through the ceiling. Hi. Do you want to see me?
No, I don't. I was looking for the... Oh, you are
I'm Father Marco,
the priest.
the associate pastor. Father O'Hurley is the pastor. If you'd rather see him...
Oh, no. It's just, that you think of priests as being much older, like George Kennedy and Danny Thomas.
Big Crosby.
But, that's silly. Because, there are young doctors like James Brolin and Chad Everett, and there are young policemen, and, I think I'm in the wrong place.
You're in St. Norbert's Catholic Church.
I mean to become a nun.
You want to become a nun?
Yes, and I was wondering, could you tell me where the nearest convent is?
Oh, Dayton, the Sisters of Hope.
And,
Yes, no, you're not Catholic, are you, Miss,
Shumway. No, I'm what you might call a lapsed Lutheran.
Lapsed Lutheran?
But I am willing to switch.
Do we convert?
Whatever.
I see. Is this a sudden decision of yours, Miss Shumway?
Oh, no. I have been thinking about this for 2 days and 2 nights.
I see. Did something happen in your personal life, that is?
Yes, Father, something has been happening a lot lately. You see, I keep falling in love. And I always think that it's going to last and be beautiful and we'll live happily ever after. But then something always seems to happen. And the last time it did, my heart was just broken. So that's when I decided that there must be something wrong with my life.
Well, maybe you just haven't found the right man.
Oh, men are the problem. So that's why I decided that I should try something entirely different, get away from men completely. At first, I thought that I'd join an all-girls battalion. But then there's men in the army post, and I really hate to march. So that's when I decided to become a nun.
I see.
And I was just wondering if you had some forms I could fill out and answer a few of the questions, like when I'd have to get my hair cut.
Miss,
Shumway, but you can call me Kathy.
I'd really like to help you, but I'm not exactly sure that becoming a nun is the answer.
Why not?
Well, the religious life takes a certain, that is to say, a person has to come to it after a great deal of preparation and a lot of thought and prayer and counseling. It's a vocation, Miss Shumway, a way of serving God and the church and the community. Not a place to go to forget an unhappy love affair. It's not a place to hide.
But I thought the church doors were always open.
Oh, St. Norbert's doors are always open.
But the convents are closed?
No, they're open too, but, well, only to a select few, and, well, it would take years before you could even be a candidate.
I thought you were supposed to help me, but here you are, you're sending me away.
No, I'm not sending you away. I'm trying to help you find a way of channeling your energies. I mean, you have such a fresh, candid quality, Miss Shumway.
Thank you, that's very flattering.
I'm just thinking of alternatives to the initiate. I can see you more as, say, well, a news person than a Sister of Hope.
A news person?
Yes, like on TV.
Really?
However, look, I'll be able to supply you with some literature that might answer your questions about Catholicism and ways to enter a religious order. That is, if you're still interested.
Oh, yes, I'm still interested. At least I think I'm still interested. At least I'm willing to think about it. A news person? What kind of a news person? Like Barbara Walters, sort of a young one with sex appeal? I'm sorry. Sorry, Father.
Hey, how'd you get by the gate? Didn't the guy know you've been suspended? The guy just waved me right on through.
Tom, I've been wanting to tell you how bad I feel about you and Mary, but I didn't know where you were.
Well, I was with Dad. Him and his family put me up last night.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, if it hadn't been for you, I'd probably be still sleeping in the bus depot.
No trouble?
Are you sure? I couldn't help but hear you and your brother going at it this morning, Oh, you heard us? Yeah, I heard you. I didn't hear what you were saying, but I knew you guys were pretty sore at each other. I just hope it wasn't on account of me.
No, believe me. Look, you're welcome to stay as long as you want.
Really? Yeah, I appreciate that. I really do.
Well, listen, what brings you around here, buddy?
Oh, I don't know. I just found myself heading in this direction this morning. I got up and I went to the library. I've been there in a hell of a long time.
I didn't know you could read.
Oh, yeah, sure. One word at a time, Chuck. Come on, will you? And then I went to the park and I fed some pigeons, and then I I shot some pool. And it was only 12 o'clock, so I took a long walk and here I am.
Well, that's natural. After all, we are your friends here, Tom. Some of us, anyway.
Hello, Tom.
George?
Well, I guess me and Ed ought to be getting back to the line.
Oh, yeah.
You think so, Ed? That is, if you're sure you don't want us to hang around.
No, that's okay. That's okay, Tom.
Okay.
See you later, Tom.
Yeah.
Be good.
See you. George?
You seem to leave in quite a hurry.
Yeah, well, they figured you might take sides being Mary's father.
Hell of a lot of good that does.
What do you mean?
Being Mary's father. You know, I've seen a lot of trouble in my day, but I've never seen two people have more trouble than you and Mary.
Oh. I don't know why that is. I mean, it's probably because being Mary's father, you might kill me, right?
Well, no, I'm not a violent man. Oh, I'd like to perform a little manslaughter on you, but I think that this situation calls for a cooler and a wiser approach. Now, I know that you and Mary are going to need an older man to talk to, and I'm just making myself available in case one of you wants me.
Really? You mean that? That's damn nice of you.
Now,
I appreciate that.
I'm just doing this as a duty, being a daughter's father.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Now, you know what the situation is, right? So, what do you think we should do?
Now that is the question. That is the definite question.
Yeah, so what's the answer?
Moderation.
Moderation?
Moderation. You see, now you're younger, and you get a little hot on the head, the hat once in a while. But I have found in my age that moderation, that's the rule for all things.
Okay, all right, I'll go along with that. So moderation. So what should we do?
You gotta take this thing step by step. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Well, what the hell does this have to do with Rome?
Well, there were a lot of busted marriages in old Rome. See, it just goes to prove that things don't change.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, you young people, you think that you're something different or something like that, but that's not true. The rules.
What rules? What rules?
The rules. The listen to your elders. I mean, experience is a very important thing.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm glad you agree. Listen, Tom, I gotta go back to work, but I'm glad I saw you. I think I got your mind straightened out now, so you can make that first step.
Yeah, well, thanks, George. Thanks a lot.
No, don't thank me. It's just my duty, as I said, as a father and a father, an older and a wiser man.
Uh-huh.
What are you doing? You can see what I'm doing. I'm making a lettuce. How come so much? Because it's roughage, and roughage is very good for your digestion. Heather, take off those skates or I'm going to silence the wheels. What are you doing all that? Heather, I am not going to stand here and listen to a lot of silly questions, okay? Here's the doorbell.
Mrs. Hartman, I'm Bob Gilroy.
Oh, I am just so glad that you could make it, Dr. Gilroy.
I'm not a doctor, Mrs. Hartman, just an MA in psychology.
Oh, Heather, this man here, this is the man from MA in psychology from Daddy's plant where he works, where he did work, where he works. You mean a shrink? A shrink? Well, no, I don't. No, I didn't. Yes, he is that, but I wouldn't say that in front of him. This is my daughter. This is Dr. Mister. And Heather, why don't you go and go inside, take off your skates, and do your homework, okay?
You hear about Daddy, you should talk to me. I'm just as upset as anyone.
Heather, go! That's not funny. Actually, she's a very, very happy child. Do you know that she even skates in the kitchen? I mean, that's a happy child. We're all actually a little upset about Tom.
You mean about his being suspended?
Well, yeah, that too, but that's not the big issue. You know, it's, Would you like some lettuce?
No, thank you.
Would you like some coffee?
Thank you.
Okay. The reason that I called you is that I know that Tom has spoken to you, and you happen to be the only psychologist I know of, you know. So, did you take anything in your coffee?
No, just black, please.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we could have this in the living room if you
No,
like.
this is fine.
Oh, is this fine? Okay, good. Well, here's your coffee, and I am in desperate need of help.
You sounded very upset when you called, Mrs. Hartman. I know you must be concerned about your husband's suspension. I've tried to talk management out of the merit system, but so far I haven't had any luck.
Well, it's not really that. I mean, I am, you know, I'm concerned about it, but it isn't really that. It's just a little piece of lettuce on that coffee. No, but it's sort of that, but it's not that. I mean, I'm just Tom left me.
Oh, I am sorry. Well, no wonder you're so upset. That's a very traumatic experience.
Yeah, well, I didn't call about that either.
You did?
No. I mean, it's not that. I mean, it's very difficult to explain. You see, I'm very upset about that. I mean, I really do want Tom. I want us to get back together, but I've made a terrible mistake here. I think I've done a terrible thing, and I feel very guilty about it, and I feel awful, and I'm just.
Now, Mrs. Hartman, as
so
I
terribly
remember
ashamed.
things, your husband has not been exactly guiltless himself, now has he?
No, but he was not involved in this. I mean, this was mine. I mean, I was the troublemaker in this. I mean, he wasn't even in the room. I mean, I did everything here. I am the one who should be. I am totally and completely ashamed. It is totally my fault, just
Mrs.
totally.
Hartman, I'm sure that anything you've done is not as terrible as you think. After all, women are as human as men, with the same needs, the same weaknesses.
Oh, I'm just so glad to hear you say that.
So why don't you just tell me what happened?
I can't.
Of course you can. That's what I'm here for. That's why I'm here. There's nothing that you couldn't tell me. Over the years, I've listened to all kinds of things. If I were to tell you the things I've heard from them, please feel free to tell me anything.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you know that. Well, Tom and I haven't been getting along very well.
Like so many married couples, believe me.
Yeah. Well, there was this other man
Yeah.
who was engaged to my sister.
That kind of thing happens, in fact.
Does that? Well, I found him very attractive, but I fought it. I mean, I fought it.
And then you quarreled with your husband?
Someone told you.
I've heard this so many times before.
Have you? Oh, well, that's good because that makes it much easier for me to tell you about this whole thing. You've heard this a lot before. Okay, so what happened was I found myself in this man's apartment.
That's perfectly understandable, Mrs. Hartman. Under the circumstances, it would have been almost impossible for you to resist. And you'd had a quarrel with your husband, who had been unfaithful to you. You were attracted to this other man. You were in his apartment.
I know, but before we did anything, he had a heart attack.
You mean you didn't?
Oh, no. Absolutely not. Not until this afternoon.
This afternoon?
Was when I went to see him at the hospital.
You mean in his hospital room?
Well, it was just a mild heart attack, Mr. Bowman.
Mrs. Hartman, just let me get this very straight. You had relations with a patient in his hospital bed shortly after he had a heart attack?
Well, it's been 4 days since the attack.
You could have killed that man.
Well, they say that exercise is supposed to be very good for a heart attack.
4 days after the attack? Mrs. Hartman, in my entire professional career, I have walked away from only 2 clients. One was your husband, who exposed you, his own wife, to VD. And now this, in a hospital bed with a heart attack victim? That is so ugly. That is so awful. I just can't sit here. I can't relate to that. I just can't relate to that. Mrs. Hartman, you'll have to excuse me.
Excuse me, are you sure that you don't want to finish your coffee?
So the language hasn't been used, but it's very clear that there was some sex happening in that hospital bed. And it involved Mary and Dennis together. Of course, we go straight to the scene with Kathy at the church. Kathy maybe isn't going to become a nun, but does have some other ideas about a life direction. And I'm really glad that the priest in this case discouraged her from just jumping on that decision. It doesn't seem like a smart, immediate decision. It seems like something that you'd really want to be thinking about. We catch Tom at the factory and kind of get caught up on Ed McCullough's point of view there just a little bit, but more importantly, we got George and Tom talking together about the situation. I'm not sure that moderation is the advice I might offer myself. Epicurus was the philosopher who was all about moderation, and I feel like that might just be words to fill space in silence. I think a lot of characters like to fill silence with words and not necessarily with meaning in this show. But Tom definitely really wants to fix the situation, and I'm glad of that. Then I did like seeing Heather on roller skates because I'm a roller skater myself. And I mean, not a good one, but I do enjoy getting out on them. But the real part of that scene was Gilroy coming back, and I couldn't stop but roll my eyes at him because his one other appearance was walking out on Tom, so I kind of expected him to walk out on Mary as well, and that's what happened. Mary is complicated, and I think the complication is literally her method of avoiding truth and things that she wants to do. She hides underneath very thinly veiled excuses. I want to see her making some kind of healthy choice for her life. I want to see her and Tom getting help together. I don't think Gilroy's the guy to do it pretty much ever because he has the track record of literally never staying in the scenes that we've seen him. He continually says, I won't judge you, and then judges the heck out of them. And that's in the episodes before episode 60. So if you watch my videos on that, it'll be, before I actually figured out how to get video footage into my series. Anyway, ouch, emotions. I felt a lot of emotions today, and I don't really know how to sort them. So with that, I'm just going to say thank you so much for coming along. Thank you for watching the show with me, and we will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.